Hey guys, how is everybody doing? With the release of Jurassic World Rebirth coming out into theaters next week, I have decided to take a look back at the movie that started it all, one of the best movies of all time, and one of the most iconic movies of all time, with the original 1993 Jurassic Park. Okay, I'm sorry. Starting out with my positives on Jurassic Park, and one of my favorite parts about this movie and why I have so much nostalgia whenever I watch this movie, and that is the opening scene of this movie to where it kind of gives you the tone that they're going to be going for, which when the movie starts, it doesn't have like some like big like opening credits or whatever. It just shows who's the movie's by or whatever. It's kind of calm, and then it just shows the title card. It's calming, it's nothing really big, and then all of a sudden you just see this big crate being moved and all these men surrounding it, and you get this Australian guy holding a gun, and then all these workers just like surrounding it with like tasers or whatever. And then like you don't see what's in there, but it gives you the idea. But when you rewatch this movie so many times, you know what's in there, and especially you kind of find out like later on in the movie that there's a velociraptor in this cage. And then like they never show it. They always keep it a mystery. And this is something I'll get more into with another positive of mine of this movie. They don't really show what's in the cage. They just have you have this eerie feeling, kind of like the feeling that you have watching is like there's something bad is going to happen here, and whatever is in that cage is bad news, basically. And so everyone's just kind of standing around staring at it, and the guy's giving orders like move the cage, open the gates, everybody step away or whatever. And everyone's just watching it. It seems calm, nothing big is happening, but you can tell there's a huge threat in that cage. And then somebody goes to open it, but then the creature inside is smarter than you think because it rams the cage and moves it back to where it's able to grab the worker that was opening the cage, and it slowly starts to pull it in and slowly starts to eat him to death. That whole opening sequence really kind of sets up of what this movie is going to look like, and especially for the time this movie came out, this was a whole different kind of movie, especially for the time when it came out during the 90s, because something like this is just so different. Because what you're thinking of like a Jurassic Park movie about dinosaurs, and like when people think of Jurassic Park now, they think of like dinosaurs and action packed and stuff like that. But this movie goes for that horror vibe, which like once again I'll get into. But this whole opening is just so iconic, and it gives me this huge nostalgia because I remember when I watched this movie for the first time, I got hooked immediately just because of that opening, because of how creepy it was, and just how it hooks you immediately and it lets you know what kind of movie you're in for. And going along with that, my favorite thing about this movie, and it's something that I'm really disappointed in, that none of the sequels of this series have really tried to recapture, but supposedly the new one is trying to aim for that. But this movie has a lot of horror vibes to it, and I absolutely love that about this movie, which especially for being a horror fan, if you can't tell, but I love that about this movie, and it's just something that I really wish that the rest of the sequels of this franchise would try to recapture, because the horror vibes that this movie goes for is just absolutely astounding. Like I was just talking about with the opening, like that whole the whole creepiness and the atmosphere that you're getting from that, and just like it kind of captures something from Jaws with the opening, which is another Spielberg movie. Which, when you just see the girl slowly getting eaten to death and pulled underwater, that's kind of the same thing that happens with the cage guy. He just slowly gets pulled in while everybody's trying to pull him out and trying to save him. The guy's slowly getting pulled in and getting eaten to death by this raptor or whatever. Like that whole horror vibe to it is amazing, and just the reveal of the T Rex as well. Like that whole reveal of the T Rex of this movie is it has that horror vibe to it, because like it's so like the how slowly they show him, and how slowly they reveal him, and how slowly he just like gets out of the gets out of his cage or whatever, and then slowly kind of makes his way around, kind of like looking around the area, looking inside the car, and then he starts to attack the car. Like that whole sequence has this huge horror vibe to it, and just has this creepy feeling to it. Like that whole sequence feels something like a horror movie. Like you get this like creepy feeling whenever you're watching it. You get this tense feeling or whatever. Like, and then another sequence in this movie that is just probably my favorite part of the entire movie is the whole part where the velociraptor comes into the building and chases the kids around the kitchen, and like sniffing them out and trying to find them in the kitchen. Like that is something you would see like Jason do in like a horror movie. Like we've seen the horror movie where somebody's hiding from the killer and they're like looking for him. and stuff like that, and they're trying to find out where they are or whatever. Like, we've seen that in horror movies, and they recreate that here, but just with a velociraptor. I absolutely love the horror vibe that this movie goes for. I love that about this movie. It's always been something that I've loved about this first movie especially. And again, I really wish the rest of the sequels would try to recapture that vibe or recapture that feeling, which sure, some of the sequels have tried that, and some of them have tried to capture the same feeling of this movie, but they've never really succeeded. Sure, the Jurassic Park movies have their horror moments, but lately this series has kind of relied more on action, especially the latest two that we've gotten with Fallen Kingdom and Dominion. We'll see if Rebirth is truly trying to capture that horror vibe once again, like they've said that they're going to try and do. But again, this is just something I really wish that the rest of the series would try to recapture. Is just this horror vibe, which is something that I love about this movie and probably my favorite part of the movie. And when you're talking about Jurassic Park, it's kind of hard not to talk about the theme song that they have for this movie. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure this was composed by John Williams, which should be a known thing for me, but I'm kind of blanking on names lately. But John Williams' score for this movie is just absolutely iconic. You hear that basically wherever. When you think of Jurassic Park, you think of the theme, and this theme has been obviously made into memes, which almost every iconic song has. So you've heard the score for this movie somewhere. You've heard it somewhere. You've either it was because of a TikTok or maybe it was a joke from Family Guy, whatever. You have heard the score for this movie, and it's absolutely iconic, and it matches the tone for this movie of like this adventure like feeling, especially when they're in the helicopter and they're getting onto the island and that score starts playing. It really gets you into this vibe of like, oh, we're in for an adventure, we're in for something unimaginable and something that we won't ever be able to recapture, basically, type feeling, which I guarantee you've heard it. And when you're talking about Jurassic Park, it's kind of hard not to bring up of how they were beautifully able to bring these dinosaurs to life, which again, I am just astounded of how they were able to do it, especially since this movie came out in 1993, which this movie was made during the 90s. It is so hard to watch this movie and be like, this movie was made in the fucking 90s. For like, you look at it and you just see how well they were created, how well they created the dinosaurs. It's just like, you think they're fucking real. Like, I honestly feel like people when they first watched this movie, they thought they were real because how realistic they look, because how well they were able to blend practical and CGI into bringing the dinosaurs to life, to me is absolutely unbelievable. Sure, I will admit some of the CGI doesn't age completely well by any means. It doesn't look great, especially years later, and especially with the Jurassic World trilogy and seeing how well the CGI looks on those dinosaurs or whatever. But the CGI, but seeing especially for the time of what the CGI looked like in this movie, it still looks good. Like, it doesn't look terrible by any means. It still looks good, but it just moments it doesn't look great. But the practical part of the dinosaurs are absolutely astounding. Like I said with the T-Rex when we get introduced, like, that thing looks real, and just the fact that they brought that thing to life, like, if I saw that on set making this movie, I'd probably be pissing my pants because that thing looks terrifying and I would not want to be near that thing. And apparently some behind the scenes with that dinosaur went wrong, which is kind of what the influence was for Tammy and the T-Rex, apparently, which is a movie I've still never seen, where it's about a animatronic T-Rex that goes around killing people, which apparently that movie's influence came from this, because apparently behind the scenes the animatronic T-Rex like would move randomly or do things on its own without people controlling it, supposedly, which that's a theory I've heard or whatever. I don't know if it's actually true. I've heard people say it is true. I've heard people actually talk about it, and then I heard people say that, oh, that's not true whatsoever. Which, if that is true, that's even more scary. And if that's not true, then why are we making up lies? And then not even the T-Rex, and then seeing like the velociraptors and stuff like that, which is my personal favorite dinosaur. Which when they see you, which they don't really show like a full body of the velociraptor practically, but they do show like body parts of the velociraptor, in which when they do show them, that's creepy. And like going along with the horror vibe, and just like when they first get introduced, they're like, oh, we're being hunted, like that stuff going on. Like, that's my personal favorite dinosaur just because of that. But like when you see like the velociraptor like brought to life, but like they don't show like a full body practical of Velociraptor. They only show like certain body parts, like legs and the head moving or whatever. They don't show like the full body, which again, the fact that they were able to bring those dinosaurs perfectly to life, and especially for the time, and especially for the technology that they had to work with, is still astounding to me. And my final positive, and this is just something that I'm just a huge whore for at this point. This is just something that I absolutely love about film, and that is the sound design of this movie. I absolutely love sound design. I talked about it before last year or the year before. Yeah, it was last year when I talked about the 2014 Godzilla movie. Like I talked about in that movie that I am a huge fan of sound design, and the sound design in that movie is absolutely my favorite part of that movie, and just and this is like a perfect example of sound design in my mind because like you hear like the sounds of the dinosaurs, you hear like the roars, and you hear like the noises that they make, and it's just absolutely amazing. Like that whole sequence when the T-Rex comes into the movie and you just hear him growling and you just see him looking at the car and the sounds he's making. It's just like it sends a shiver down my spine how much I love the sound of it. I love sound design and the design and the sound design on the T-Rex is absolutely amazing. I absolutely love it, and even like the later on with the Spinosaurus singing or whatever the fuck they call it, it spits poison. Like the sound of that, like when he like opens up his fins and starts making noise, like the sound design on that thing is creepy. It sounds like something from like an Alien or whatever. And then again with the Velociraptors, like the sounds they make, like with the calling sounds when they're trying to call another Velociraptor over, and just like when like the noises they make, like just the sound. Sound design on every single dinosaur in this movie is just absolutely beautiful in my mind because I love sound design, and the fact that the sound design in this movie is just so perfect to me. And whenever I hear great sound design, like in this Godzilla or War of the Worlds or whatever, I always think of the perfect. Whenever someone asks me what a perfect movie is when it comes to sound design, I would say this movie because you cannot tell me listening to those dinosaurs that you just like can't help but feel that they're real because that you're really watching a dinosaur. It's like just the sound that they were able to bring to life. I love sound design. I know I sound like a broken record, but it's something that I've always loved about film. It's always something that I love about a movie, and just seeing the sounds of the dinosaurs being brought to life and just how masterful it sounds to me, just as a sound design horror, it speaks to me. However, this movie is great by all means. Like I've never met one person saying that this movie is bad. I do have a few negatives, and if anything, they are nitpicks. And my first negative is again, it's very small, and it does serve a huge point in the story, but at the same time, I've always been bothered by it to an extent. And that is this whole dentist subplot thing where you got the fat guy that's like the that works at the computer or whatever, and he tries to sell out Jurassic Park. He tries to get money by giving these guys information of how they're making dinosaurs, or tries to give them dinosaur DNA. I don't know exactly what he tries to give them. I can't really remember. But there's a whole subplot of where he's basically selling out, and he's basically selling out this company to where he gets like this shaving cream can or whatever, and he puts something in it, and he goes off to give these guys this or whatever, but in the process he ends up dying. But that whole subplot in this movie I've never really cared for, and it's something that I noticed more when I rewatched it the most recently, is that it doesn't really do anything to this movie. The only reason they kind of have it there is to find a reason of why the power gets shut down in Jurassic Park, and how the dinosaurs get out. That is the only reason that it's there. And if anything, they could have found a better reason for the power to go out so the dinosaurs can get out. And it could be the most generic thing in the world. The rain was so heavy that lightning struck something to make the power go out. But no, they resort to a subplot that doesn't really go anywhere. I honestly feel like if you took that whole subplot out, it would serve no purpose to the story and it wouldn't really change anything. But yeah, it's there, and it doesn't really need to, because I feel like there's a better way they could have done this, and it doesn't go anywhere is the thing. Like, it's interesting for sure. It's just like, oh, what if he does get this to them or whatever? But it's just like, oh, you kind of get the satisfaction that he ends up dying or whatever. But I guess it's interesting. I would have, excuse me, I would have liked to seen that go somewhere. I believe they kind of do the same thing later on in the series or whatever. It's been a while since I've rewatched these movies, but I don't know. I don't know if they carried that on from this. I don't know if they kind of continued. They tried this idea again, but I don't know. But it's interesting, but it just doesn't go anywhere is the thing, and it doesn't really serve anything to this story. And again, this is a nitpick, but this scene always pisses me off whenever I watch it, and that is the whole door lock scene where they're trying to lock the door, but the Velociraptor's like pushing on it to get in. This scene frustrates me because it's so dumb. You got Sam Neill, and then you got Ellie, who is that her name? Ellie? I can't remember her name. But you got those two trying to block off the door or whatever, trying to stop the Velociraptor getting in it. And Sam Neill's character, obviously, what's his name? Dr. Grant, excuse me. He's trying to grab the shotgun, which is a smart thing. Oh, shoot the Velociraptor. What are the kids doing? Oh, you got the one little girl that seems to be smart with technology or whatever, and she's sitting there trying to figure out how to close the door or whatever, which somehow she magically just knows how to do that. But then what is little Timmy doing? Oh, he's just standing there doing fucking nothing, not trying to grab the gun, that's for sure. Like, little dude, hey, buddy, pal, friend of mine, maybe grab that gun. Maybe help the two that are blocking the door because you're not fucking doing anything. You're just standing there watching your sister. You're not really doing anything, little dude. Maybe just grab that gun. No, we're not gonna grab the gun? Okay, we're just gonna stand here. Maybe fucking die because of you, kid.
Yeah?
Grab the gun!
What?
The gun over here, just give it to me!
Okay.
Tim, you're not moving!
Like, you could have. It just frustrates me. I know that it's to create suspense or whatever, but it's just like, grab that gun. You could kill that fucker if you just grab the gun for Mr. Grant, dude. Grab that gun. Overall, guys, Jurassic Park is an absolute classic, and it's absolutely one of the best movies of all time, and you shouldn't have to hear me say it because people all around you should be saying it regardless. It's one of the best movies of all time. It's one of the best Steven Spielberg movies of all time. It's just one of the best films, period. I love this movie, and it's kind of a shame that the movies come after it kind of suck, but this is an absolute classic. I've loved this movie ever since I was a kid, and I guarantee you'll hear a lot of other people say that. I love this movie. If you have not watched this movie, then what the fuck have you been doing with your whole life? Let me know what you guys think about Jurassic Park down in the comments below, and we shall talk about it. Are you excited for Jurassic World Rebirth? Let me know. Let me know in the comments below, and we shall talk about it. And if you like this video, like it. If you love to subscribe, hit the bell notification so you will get notified for all my latest videos. And of course, until my next video, I'll see you all next time.